Hi. What's up?
Not much.
That was a deep voice. That's impressive. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
You should talk like that the entire time. And I'll do. Oh, a really high, weird voice.
I'm Batman.
I don't even know if you can hear that from the speaker. It's just, oh, that wasn't deep. My voice cracked.
I'm Batman.
Anyway.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
So,
I'm just going to go through the whole podcast saying I'm Batman.
so Bryce, how was your weekend?
It was a weekend.
Was it?
It's pretty good. We went up to Stillwater and went to a men's advance that they have up there. It's pretty good. Heard some preaching. Got to see some friends and church. So,
Nice.
Yep.
Good. That was good. I went to a wedding.
Ooh,
I was in my friend's wedding as a
there you
groomsman.
go. There you go.
And it was fun. And then he had us do a groomsman performance for the bride, and we did not get as much practice in as we had hoped, and so, but it turned out not as bad as I thought it was going to go. I'll say that.
There you go.
So, of course, most people are focused on him, and he was been practicing it for months. So, there you go. That was good.
Well,
He sang. He lip synced Beyonce's song, whichever one it is, I forget what it's called, but it's like the "Bring the Beat In" song.
oh,
Yeah, you're the one I love. You're the
you know
one I
what?
need,
Every
like that.
time I hear that song, I think of a wedding. So,
Yeah, that's what I hear.
I mean,
Mhm.
so.
Every time I hear that song, I think of the old Vine where
Yep.
it's like, "Bring the beat in, anything for you, Beyonce."
Yep.
Anyway, but I mean, it was fun. I got to see some friends, people I haven't seen in a while, and I thought the wedding started at 12. Turns out we had to be there at 12 for pictures. The wedding didn't start till 4. That was
Very nice.
that was a fun surprise. I'm just kidding.
Yep.
No, it was fun. I enjoyed seeing him, so it was good. But
Talking
So-
about this weekend, there was some NASCAR races.
there's a
Yeah.
Talladega. Not very often do you go through a Talladega weekend with 3 of races that
Are
you
boring.
won't remember in 2 weeks. But
Are extremely boring.
it happened this week.
Yep.
And you know why? We know why it happened. Every single time I promote a race, and I promote it to people that don't normally watch, and I say, "Hey, this is the week to watch. If you're going to watch and get into NASCAR, this is the week." Anytime I say that, nothing ever happens. And that's what happened this week. I promoted it to a couple people.
Why in the world would you ever try to promote NASCAR?
I don't know. I mean, how dare me?
I know. That's awful.
Apparently, what you're supposed to do is talk bad about it the entire time, even though you love it, and hope that it draws people's attention, because that's what everybody else in the industry does. So.
Yeah, there you go. So, well, yeah, it was a boring weekend. Cindric won.
Yeah. I wouldn't say boring, just not anything happened,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
It's still Talladega, and there's
I mean,
good racing.
The Bell crash was pretty
Yeah, that was
violent, but
so the way he crashed, of course, they weren't up to speed yet. I'd have to look at the speed. I think they're only going like 150, 160. But even then, if you look at his car in the slow motion, you could see that right front tire.
I saw that
start to bounce, and I'm thinking, they still, like, I'm telling you, no matter what they do, you cannot get the car to stay on the ground. It's just physics.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told Audrey, I said, if there's a wreck similar to that, but this time they're up to speed, that car will flip.
I literally told my dad, which I think another thing that played into that was, I guess off of turn 2, there's some bumps there, and they were going across the bumps, and so I told my dad the same thing. I was like, hey, it started wheeling, and
it's getting light.
But it didn't go over. So.
And it's because of, which I said this, when in 2022 when it came out, but then I was glad when Dale Jr. confirmed my suspension last year when he talked about it's the wheel well underneath, right behind the right front tire. That's where the air is getting in. I don't want to say that too loud because I don't want NASCAR to hear me. But that's where it's getting in. Like, right, if I can grab this. Of course, this is just a car, so it's not have the whole thing. But right here, there's a little indentation, and the air is going underneath here. And if you notice, every car that gets airborne starts first, if you do slow motion, where the right front tire goes up. Then the air gets back here, and it lifts the whole side. And that's how it's getting airborne. So, they're going to do something. They have to do something with that. But
Well, I say they don't. So
yeah. Not that we encourage flips, but
it doesn't hurt.
if you do everything possible for the car to do everything in a wreck, then there's not going to be any wrecks, and therefore it's not going to be exciting.
Yep.
Like, you have to have that edge there, because if it's going to be so easy to drive, and then nobody's going to realize.
Here's something that was exciting this weekend. Cletus McFarland.
Yeah.
Did you see his little move where he missed that wreck?
He barely missed it.
Yeah, and then he was like in the car.
Which that has been. I started iRacing online.
There you go.
Not to switch subjects, but this reminded me of that. And I've had iRacing for like a year now. I just haven't raced online because I haven't had the time. And this time I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make time. I'll do it.
Just do it.
And so I did it, and that has been me the last week or so. Is anytime I race at Talladega or Daytona or just a car or in general, and I finish in the top 4 or 5, or I miss a wreck, I'm like, yeah, because it's so exhilarating. That's fun.
There you go.
But they need more people like Garrett Mitchell, Cletus McFarland, in there, and do that. You know, he wasn't even a NASCAR fan like not that long ago.
Yeah.
Like, he just was smart, and like from what I understand, I have not been following him that long. This is just from what I understand, but he has just been basically knew how to build cars and stuff like that, and then got into it not that long ago.
Yeah.
And now he's in ARCA. I say in, but he's raced a couple races in ARCA.
Twice.
Yep.
So.
But he got top 10. So.
Yeah. There you go. And then Isabella Robusto.
Sheldon Creed. Shelly Creed.
Yeah, Shelly Creed. There it is. Yep. I'm just saying, like, she does look like Sheldon Creed.
If she has, I've seen pictures where she has makeup on, then it doesn't as much.
And the glasses don't help her.
I
either,
know the same.
so.
It's like the same glasses, and but yeah, I mean, it literally looks like Sheldon Creed is like, you know what? I need some sort of confidence here, and he put a wig on and
went down to the lower series.
Yes, and finished third.
I think Kyle Busch would still do that if he could, but the thing is, they let him without putting a wig on. So
there you go. But anyway, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I didn't get a chance to watch everything on Saturday, of course, because I was in the wedding. But I did get to watch the last 30 laps of the Xfinity race, and it was fine. It was okay. But just like I said, just not really anything happened.
yeah, I mean, pack racing is fun to watch anyway. Because I mean, when they started the race and went 4 wide, I'm like, this is cool, but. And then it just kind of did nothing. And so, I mean, it was fun to watch because of the pack racing, but whenever nothing was happening, and I was just like, well, man, this stinks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and of course, was it Lawless Allen that won the ARCA? Was that who it was? I don't know much about him other than I think he's ran a few truck races.
He ran a full season.
Did he?
I think.
So, and then, of course, Xfinity would have been better, I feel like, if Jeb Burton would have won, but then they had Austin Hill.
Hey, don't mention that name.
I know. I mean, my name is Austin. And
you
I'm
should
beginning.
Change it.
Why is it? I just realized there is Austin Hill won Xfinity race and Austin Cindric won Cup race. It was a weekend for Austin, so maybe I should be more happy.
Hey, you won on an iRacing, right?
I won twice yesterday.
It's Austin's weekend.
But anyway, so, but yeah, I'm just, for whatever reason, my name is Austin, and everybody in NASCAR whose name is Austin, I just don't really like. I don't know. Austin Hill, I can't stand. I think he's too arrogant and cocky and a jerk. And Austin Dillon just doesn't have much talent. I think he'd be better if he hung it up and did more of the running the team. And then
I think he should just go into that little acting, that one show that he's got.
Yeah, that he tried to do. What was it called? I forget.
I can't remember.
Nobody watched it, so nobody remembers.
I can't remember what it was. It was like I thought about watching it and then I didn't. I can't remember.
He thinks he looks so bad.
You know who I think of every time I think of Austin Dillon?
Who?
I think of Tyler Toney from Dude
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Except I like Tyler Toney.
Yeah, me too.
But Austin Dillon thinks he looks so like bad as in a cowboy hat, but he just looks like Woody from Toy Story. He thinks he looks like Chuck Norris, and he ends up just looking like Woody. But I don't know. And then Austin Cindric, he's fine, but I don't really have any care. He's not my favorite driver, but it's not like I don't like him. So I don't know. I don't know how many, if there's any other Austins in NASCAR, but Austin Terrio. No, that's going back a few years in the Truck Series.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I don't remember much of what he did. I don't even know if he won. I think he raced for Brad Keselowski Racing. But anyway, other than that, so that's what we had. And then, of course, we had in the Cup race, Chase Elliott, guess what? He got a speeding penalty again. He's a new Denny Hamlin when it comes to speeding penalties.
There you go.
Anyway, he still finished 5th after the disqualifications of.
Here's the thing: if you're at Talladega and you hit the brakes coming into pit road, and you're sliding, and you know you got the speeding penalty, just floor it. You know what I mean? You already have to come back through. Why not just take advantage of it?
You're not wrong, because Kyle Busch actually did that one time. Did you know about this?
Mm-mm.
He did that one time as I think it was an Xfinity race, and like they panned him in the pits, and he's like going like 120 miles an hour, getting into his stall and then leaving, and they're like, I don't know what he's doing. He's obviously speeding. And then it comes back there. Then over the radio is talked about. He's like, I knew I sped coming in. I didn't slow it down in time. And he's like, at that point, what's the point? So he kept going. So he minimized the time that he lost. And I mean, it was smart.
I mean, that's what I would do if you're coming in and you just like lock it up and you realize, oh, I went over the yellow line. Just speed through there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't even have to stop because you have to go through it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I don't think there's any rules against that other than you're just speeding. So, but I mean, you have to be careful.
NASCAR. They're all speeding.
That's true. But anyway, and then I don't know. I mean, just not a lot happened. Excuse me. And then Ross Chastain, of course, he pulled a big block on Denny Hamlin. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not.
Heard about it. But he, I knew Denny Hamlin was going to say something about it because it's Denny Hamlin. But like, he was going probably 5-6 mile an hour slower, maybe 10. I have to look at it again. But I feel it was a decent amount of speed. And, of course, he was coming off pit road and they were passing him. And so he blocked and made Denny Hamlin have to brake, which is what a lot of other people have done before. Not saying that I condone the move because it is risky, but he's not the only one that's done it. And that slows the pack down. That way he can have that spot, basically, and then you continue on. Otherwise, you would risk losing the draft or at least going to the back. And so they did that, and then just slowed the Toyotas down. And then Denny Hamlin talked about how it was a really dumb move, for lack of a other word, and that he would wreck him next time and all that kind of stuff. But
okay, I want to kind of switch the subject. Two things.
Yeah.
Two subjects, kind of. Both involving Joey Logano. First off, Joey Logano's words after the stage to his teammate. I get he's frustrated at his teammate, but it's like when you look back at it and you see what happened, Austin had to check up. He was trying to not turn him.
I know. You know what I hope happens next time?
What?
He doesn't check up. Joe Logano wrecks, and then he'd be like, "You yelled at me last time."
Well, I mean, Look at who won.
I know. So there you go. That's what. So I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I love Joey Logano as a person. I've met him a couple times. He's always on the radio doing stuff. He's always doing stuff for the fans. Very down to earth. Very like if he were to live in Joplin, come to our church, everything else, like go be around our circle, he'd probably be a guy that we would befriend and hang out with all the time. Like, he's just that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Racing, I can't stand the guy sometimes because he's very, everything has to be about him, which I get it. When you're in a sport, that's what you get paid to do. So I understand. Not saying he's necessarily wrong, but that's what he does. And so it's like, okay, not everything can go your way. You have to do some stuff for yourself. And then plus, on top of that, to add to that, I can't stand the whole manufacturer stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Like, do what you need to do to win. And if you end up finishing second, but if you're a Ford and you end up finishing second to a Chevy, that's better than pushing a Ford to try to get them to win, and you both end up finishing 6th or 7th, and a Chevy still wins.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you can work together and do that, but if you don't think it's going to work, then just accept the loss and try to make you be better.
One last thing about that, and then we'll switch to the podcast. It's one of those things, like, I heard, I think it was either Denny or Dale Jr. talking about it. He was treating it like Austin Cindric just gave him the win, or he was saying he treated it like Austin Cindric just pushed a Toyota to the. He's like, he checked up because he didn't want to slam into you, and so it wasn't like he was helping him. He was just backing off because he was trying to help you in the long run.
Yeah.
So just selfish move on.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I think Joey Logano will probably get out of the car, look back on, and probably have a difference of opinion. But I don't know. You never know with Joey Logano. But
yep. Well, we'll finish the video there. The second thing about Joey Logano we'll continue talking about on the podcast, which is his them getting suspended or whatever. Yeah. So, but we'll continue that on the podcast.
So if you want to listen to that, it's on Spotify. Shifting gears. But on this video, you like, you comment, you subscribe, you say, "Hey, what's up?" like that.
Yeah. Just hey. Wait, aren't they in Texas this next week?
They are.
I thought about going to that.
Yeah, we were going to go to that race, but somebody who will remain nameless, who's behind the camera, has to go preach a revival, and both of us have to take over for the church and preach.
Yeah.
Like,
so
what's that?
But
I'd rather
Texas,
preach, to be honest.
I love Texas. This guy won it last year.
I know.
And he's got a pretty good scheme.
I know. I thought it was pretty neat. But, yeah, I mean.
And then this guy lost a wheel last year, and I got to see it right in front of me.
The wheel? Or
yes, him. It literally happened like right in front of us, and I was frustrated.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
see you next week.
See ya. So podcast time now.
Podcast.
I can't believe it's literally been a year since Chase Elliott's last win. Now he won the Clash, but now we're keeping up on a year, and I think, minus the year he went winless, which was 23 because of the injury, I think this would be the longest he's gone between wins. And besides, of course, that year where since he was injured, I don't really count that year as like a winless streak, even though it is. But it's because he was obviously healing and going.
You got to think too. He is, which we haven't had very many road courses this year.
Yeah.
So, you got to think that, which I think he's still trying to get his head around the new car and which was the old car. It wasn't a sequential shifter, was it? So, I mean, on a road course, I can see how that is very different.
Yeah. So, to your point, he is a very good road course racer, and he's obviously got to the point where he's basically a road course ringer. And the only thing I get frustrated about is that, like, of course, you just recently started watching fully the whole full seasons, but you go back to the old car, and since 2018, probably 2019, really, I'd say 2018, because even when the first 2 years that he went winless, just his first year and his second year in full time, he did really good. But 18, 19, and 20, and even some in 21, like he was dominant. Like he would lead a ton of laps every season. He would be in the mix multiple races. He would always find a way to, even in the bad races, finish well in the top 10.
Yeah.
And like, if he were to lose a race, it was because he blew a tire. I mean, he was leading like half the race in Las Vegas, I think in 2019, blew a tire. Like that. Like that. I mean, stuff like that would keep him from winning, but he was at least up there. Which now in the new car, I feel like he's always like 15th. And then would kind of creep into like 9th or 10th, and that's the finish he'll get. And every once in a while, there's a race where he'll be up there, but he never really contends for wins anymore. Like unless it's a road course, he doesn't lead laps.
Yeah.
Like he just doesn't anymore, and that's what's frustrating me. It's because it's like for example, Justin Haley, Rodney Childress, who I think Rodney Childress is one of the best crew chiefs right now. They just fired him, and they said it's not performance based or anything like that, but it just wasn't a good fit. They said, I guess, for the most part. Well, Alan Gustafson's been obviously with Chase Elliott since the beginning. They have a very good relationship, dynamic, but at some point you have to look at the performance and say either Chase has got to change or you have to get a new crew chief. Like there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. His pit crew is consistently one of the best pit crews on pit road. Chase Elliott does make mistakes. I mean, he has speeding penalties like crazy anymore.
Yeah.
But the performance is not where the 5 and the 24s are.
Well, and that's the thing. Even, I mean, you look at Alex Bowman too. He's kind of in that same boat.
Mm-hmm.
But, and looking at this last weekend, they all started in the rear. Like I looked at their qualifying efforts, and I'm like, what in the world?
I know. It used to be
like,
1, 2, 3, 4.
I know
all the time.
I know.
Speedways.
But the thing about it is, I mean, if you look at the end results, though, they were like all right there in the row. It's hard with super speedways because it's like first, second, third. So I mean, they were all right there within the top 10, other than Chase Elliott.
Well, he finished 5th.
There you go.
I mean, he crossed the line in 7th, but with the disqualifications, he got 5th.
So I mean, it was a good day for Hendrick.
I mean, yeah.
But with what you were saying, I think him and Alan Gustafson could have gotten to the point where they're just buddy, and Alan doesn't go. He doesn't challenge Chase anymore. He needs a crew chief to come in there and challenge him and be like, dude, you need to do this in the car. You need to do this. I mean, it's kind of like going from a coach that's going to make you be in practice, to being like, oh, you can just show up for the games. And you need that coaching and you need that motivation. And so maybe that is the case, but
and the thing is, I like Alan Gustafson. I'm not one of those people like anytime Chase Elliott does bad, because Chase Elliott is so popular, everybody online's like, fire the crew chief, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, not every little thing is Alan Gustafson's fault.
Yeah. I mean, you look back and look at the what he has done. He's a really good crew chief. Yeah. But maybe switching him for somebody else on the
I just think there needs to be some sort of change. They kind of build up that fire again, because the thing is, I think they're burnout. I think that they don't have much performance, and I think once they don't have much performance, then they kind of get down on themselves. That goes to the next week with no motivation. And they do worse because there's no motivation there. They just get more and more down on themselves. Do you remember? I know you were younger, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2009, 2010 era.
I mean, not really.
This is an era, if you go back and look at it, where Dale Jr. was consistently finishing 30th or worse off of speed. And they're trying to figure out what the deal was, trying to figure out everything. Like Dale Jr. talked about.
After he switched to Hendrick?
After, yeah. So this first year in 2008, he did fairly decent. Like he had a win and had pretty good speed except for the end of the year. 2009, it just kind of went downhill. By 2010, like he's talked about before too. Like I remember races where literally like BJ McLeod speed.
Wow.
Like, awful. Like, it could not pass nobody, dead last on the field. And people were like, this is where Kevin Harvick made the thing that Dale Jr. is the reason NASCAR is dying sport because he can't do anything. People were like, I think Dale Jr. could win a championship because there's so many people there. And then Kyle Petty would be one that's like, first he needs to finish out how to finish in the top 30 before we talk about championships. Like, it was that bad.
Yeah.
And Dale Jr. talked about how he was just so depressed because he felt like he just didn't have it anymore. He felt like he couldn't do anything. Well, what ended up happening? In 2011, Steve Letarte. And then look at the difference of speed. Like, he started going. He won a race. He had more speed in 2011. Won a race in 2012. And by 13, if they would have had the point style that we have now in 2013, Dale Jr. would have won the championship, which is what they talked about in 2014 when they switched over the championship style that we have now. And then in 2014, if they would have had the previous championship points, he would have won. So they flip-flopped, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then he won Daytona 500. He won like 5 races in 1 year. Like, he was there again. Why?
Yeah.
Because there was a switch. Alan Gustafson, I don't know how we got off on this, but Alan Gustafson did really good for Jeff Gordon's career, building him back up. Did really good. He was what Chase Elliott needed. Now, I think they're both burned out. They're not sure what to do. And I think
here's what I think they should do. They should just switch. Which didn't they just switch Alex Bowman's crew chief?
A couple years ago, Blake Harris.
I think they should just switch those two because Alex Bowman hasn't had performance and Chase Elliott hasn't had performance. So just switch those two.
And Hendrick has done that before. That's what they did. And besides Jimmy Johnson, with Chad Knaus, they kept him. But the other 3, that's what they switched around, moved around. Steve Letarte went to Dale Jr. I think it was Lance McGrew at the time went to Casey Kane. And then Alan Gustafson, maybe it was still Mark Martin at the time, went to Mark Martin. Alan Gustafson went to Jeff Gordon.
Okay.
And so, and that's what they did. They just switched around there. They didn't fire the person and just say, see ya, but they switched around their organization. And everybody started winning again.
Yeah.
And I think they need to switch, maybe, like you said, I think it's a good idea, the 48 and the 9 crew chief, just to see.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, they're not doing anything. Like, it's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
And if it's a failed experiment, then switch them back at the end of the year. But like,
I
just
agree.
think something needs to change to help bring it up because it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Every week to just see nothing.
Yeah, I agree.
But
so
anyway.
now on to the thing that we're going to say that we talked about. The Ryan Preece and Joey Logano getting disqualified for spoiler
Infractions. Yeah.
Spoiler infractions.
So I'm assuming, I didn't look at the details. I'm assuming the spoiler was too low, which of course at a track that fast will decrease drag, make your car go faster, which in turn is an advantage.
Which makes sense why
Yeah.
a RFK car was in the top.
So, I mean, I won't say that's the reason, but I mean, there you go. But I don't know. Obviously it's an unfair advantage. It's a no-no. There you go. I don't know if they're appealing it. We talked about that right before we started.
I don't know because if you do think about it, that's the only RFK car that didn't pass. But Chris Buescher was in an accident.
Yeah, and Brad Keselowski.
And Brad Keselowski was in an accident. So I don't know if they really checked their car.
They don't really check the damaged cars like that. If they're in a wreck, then because everything's going to be messed up anyway.
So could have been all the RFK cars. But Austin Cindric won, and they didn't do anything to him. Yeah. So it could have been that. But, I mean, that's really all about that. I wanted to go back to this, though. What were we talking about? Chase Elliott, Alan Gustafson. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. Going back to 2 weeks ago, Casey Kane's return to Rockingham.
Yes. Yeah, it was interesting because I think he would have done a lot better except for Catherine Leggy, whatever her name is. But overslowed in the corner big time. And then Casey Kane got in, or William Swalch got into her. She spun out into Casey Kane, caused damage, everything. But then, of course, then she blamed William Swalch. And I'm just like, you're not helping your case here.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw this. I know you want to talk about Casey Kane, but this is just part of it.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of just throwing it back because we didn't do a video last week. So.
I don't know if you saw this, but I remember watching this. I didn't hear exactly what they said until I saw the video on TikTok. But after that wreck, because that wreck happened when they were side by side, NASCAR side by side, and they came back, and you hear Jay McMurray said, "She paid her way in." But it gets all quiet. Alexander, welcome back. There's just a caution. But it's true, because I don't know if you know the story, but she did not qualify for that race. She was too slow. And so, but her sponsor wanted it on the car, from what I understand. She then paid the driver that was supposed to race that car and said, basically, I don't know how it works, but instances like this, sometimes they're like, you get the prize money still, everything else, just let me drive it for the sponsorship, blah, blah. Yeah. And then the team, they said, okay. So then she got into that car. So she was technically in the race. So that's how they got in there. And so, I mean, people have done that before, but I can't stand people that do that. I didn't even like the championship provisional back when it was more common. Because, if you didn't make the race, you didn't make the race. I don't care what your name is. I don't care what anything. You didn't make it. I'm sorry.
All right, you hear that, Catherine?
So, anyway, and then to do that and then blame somebody else for the wreck because you were too slow, it's just a horrible look.
It's just a female Denny Hamlin. All right, well go ahead.
Denise Hamlin.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to start calling her. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Shelley Creed and Denise Hamlin. So
anyway, we gotta get off here. We're already used up our time.
I know, it's crazy.
But yeah, Case
Went
Keenum
by
did
like
great.
that. Yeah.
I wish you didn't do more races. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, so alrighty. Well, hey, listen to us next week. They're going to, where are they going next week?
Texas.
Yeah, we talked about that. So maybe it'll be a better race next week. So anyway.
Texas, one of my favorites.
It is. It's funny because I talked about how much I did not like Texas for a long time, even on this channel in 2022. But I've come to sort of like it a little bit because it's not really that bad. But Bryce, he's always been like, I love that track.
I love Texas.
So maybe
the only thing I hate in Texas is drivers. Driving in Texas sucks.
I started talking about NASCAR drivers.
Nope.
I'm like, what?
No, driving from the track back to Oklahoma. I don't understand it. Like,
well, you don't have to drive back to Oklahoma now, so maybe it's the Oklahoma
that's
drivers.
fair. But the thing about it is they decide to drive the same speed in the slow lane and the fast lane. So it's like, how am I supposed to pass you guys?
Yeah. So I've been there. But anyway, I'll see you next week.
Bye. Bye-bye now.